Hotep Senu, Hena Senut, E.T. Ren Ishakandugu Kemet. I want to make sure that the sound is loud and clear. I have an hour to spare, so I figured I'd holler at the family. And honestly, I wonder what's up in the UK. What's going on to my peeps in England? I don't hear from them anymore. Not only the people I used to be in contact with, but people from the UK in general. Now we have Xavier and Gzia who wrote Peace and Love. Greetings to you. How are you doing? Feel free to tell us where you are located. And if you have any questions or comments, then feel free, even if you disagree. Now I have to check this sound. Nevertheless. It will not be a long one, brothers and sisters. Well, yes, it's okay. So take advantage. I have about an hour to spare. It will not be a long one. Okay, that's good enough. I prefer but when I'm at home, but I happen to be outside this time. Let me know what's popping. Let me know what's popping. Do you have any opinion about this letter from that alleged undercover agent? And you know what's funny? And that's regarding Malcolm X, for those who don't know. What is funny is that I heard about that letter that is presented as a confession. That's how it's been presented. But sometimes when some news come up, and it's really, I don't want to say far-fetched, but it's like some explosive news regarding some current events, or not some current events, but actually some historical events. I take it with caution. I take it with caution. And I figured that, after a few days, maybe a few weeks, then we might have more insight. So the cousin, if I understand correctly, is the cousin of the police officer who apparently talked about the FBI and the NYPD. The New York police had something to do or was involved with the assassination of Malcolm X. The daughter of that said police officer or undercover agent is saying that that letter is fake, that his father wouldn't have written that letter. If he had to say something, he would have said so. But what surprised me is that I read the article and I thought that he would say, oh, I was an undercover agent. My task was to help in the assassination, but he arrested some members of, well, it is said that he arrested some members of Malcolm X's security team. So I understand some people will come to the conclusion that Malcolm didn't have the protection that he should have had. But let's keep it real. There were several shooters. If Malcolm X had more security, those shooters would have still do their job. And it's very funny indeed that When it comes to the people who shot Malcolm X, when it comes to the people who killed Malcolm X, there's nothing to say. But when it comes to condemning the alleged people who had a hand in it, now everybody has a lot of energy. But the guys who killed him, it's all good. Now I heard one of them is walking the streets in New York like it's all good. But you know how it goes. Usually, no, it wasn't me. And it's a COINTELPRO accusation. So really, I was very surprised when I read the article that it was just a matter, well, put that in quotation, of some members of Malcolm X's security team being arrested. Now, I don't think anybody would tell me that Malcolm didn't have any security at all on the day where it was slain. But really, I saw this letter coming up. You know, you have your feed. So I will see it coming on many different social media. And I was expecting something very explosive, something very detailed, something almost um something very direct, not something like to me it's like it's not a direct evidence of involvement or guilt. I was really expecting because I saw some people making videos already, you know, and I ain't gonna say their names now, but two people, well, one who has a very large audience, another one who has many an audience of people who say, teach, believe, and defend that Africans are living a jungle life, that Africans are not civilized, and that black people are cursed. And I was like, okay, they do their thing. I'll have a look later on. I'll find out later on. I'll see what's up later on. But it's very strange. It's very strange. But it's a good thing that during the live stream, I was told about this the daughter of that agent because I had not yet read the, the first thing. Now maybe there was more to it because actually I read an article about the daughter of the officer. So maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's more information in the initial letter. Have any of you read the letter? And even if you don't interact now, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what's up. Let me know the deal. What is the main point of that so-called letter of confession? You know, and sometimes we have to be careful about how things are advertised or presented, because when it comes to the news, a lot of time there is sensationalism. Oh, I replied to the brother regarding the book. I hope that he received my reply. But thank you very much. The download actually worked. I thought that he will not, because I was saying that it looks like one of those websites where they say that you can download some books, but ultimately you have some advertisement, or they will try to have you registering for something. But it did actually work. It did actually work. So that's a good look, and it's a good thing because it's one of the book that I looked for a while back actually. So when I have time, then I will have a look. But I really doubt that we will find some linguist who would actually agree with such a direct claim that Hebrew derives from Greek. But I understand when people want to make a distinction between the so-called classical Hebrew, or well, some people would say biblical Hebrew, and modern Hebrew, because there was a reconstruction effort. But the title is quite audacious. So besides that, feel free to let me know what's going on. Oh, I might as well say for the record. Now I can't remember where I've seen that, but I think one of these guys. Well, one this guy, and it's funny because he kind of remains anonymous. I don't. It's strange to me that people don't have any obligation to show their face, but at some point, when you're an adult, a grown adult, you're not a student. You don't have to worry about peer pressure. A lot of time when people are students, then they live with their parents, so the parents might not agree with their views. But we have people who are grown men and who claim to be talking about history, about our people and so on, but they won't even show their face. We have sisters who show their face, but those warrior scholar brothers, they won't even show their face. But anyway, another show, another show on a YouTube channel about me, maybe others, where the dude criticizes me. And it's funny because I scroll through the video. I scroll through the video. So I didn't listen much. I listened to like a few seconds here, a few seconds there, and go forward and listen to a few seconds and go towards the end, and that's it. And really, to be honest with you, I wanted to hear callers. I wanted to hear what callers had to say. I wanted to hear their opinion. So at one point, I heard the brother who has his own channel to kick it, but for strange reason, he comes on my channel with like 10 usernames, 20 usernames per show. Well, show per live stream. On average, between 10 and 20, sometimes maybe more, just to express his dislike for me. At one point, he said, "Well, the brother, his sources are his own YouTube videos." And brother, I think that sometimes you just pretend. You just pretend, and I feel like you know better. But it's like you're playing a role, a character. Even your intonation, from the first time I heard you, I thought you were just like playing a role. Now the YouTube videos, that's museums. I did not put those artifacts in the museum. I did not write the descriptions or card, as some people say. You understand what I'm saying? And one thing that is amazing is that some people will cancel or invalidate or not take into consideration or account or not believe what is said from museums, but the pictures that they find on Google Image, that's the real deal. And I'm very sad when I see that. I mean, as a people, we can do better than this. We can definitely do better than this. And the dude at one point, he was talking about and this is something that is sad, really, because sometimes people claim that they want to talk about some historical events or issues, that they want to talk about population, and then eventually when they feel like their knowledge is not sufficient to engage you, they start talking about you on a personal level, like it was done before. Like there's a more. I actually showed a video where I talked to him. He was on another platform. He used to say, "Yeah, this guy is a light-skinned dude in France," and many times saying that. So that other brother who feels like he has nothing to do with Africans, who doesn't know what an African look like, who feels like he's indigenous to America, but of course he doesn't know what his language is. His traditional indigenous native language. I don't even think he can tell you 5 words. And now that I said that, I think he will go online and he will look for Cherokee or some native tribe, some native ethnic group, and he will look up like 5 words. So next time he will be able to say 5 words, or he will type them. And greetings to you, brother Inspired One. Good morning. It's the afternoon here, but that's fine. And yes, indeed, I'm on lunch break, and then I will go back to work. Some people call it the plantation, but I don't go that far. I don't go that far because that analogy is a bit extreme to me. Throughout history, people had to do some type of work in order to eat. But Pan Africans, a lot of them like to say that to make that analogy. Now, um, so the guy was talking about, my daughter not looking so black, and then he's talking about people's partners, people's woman, basically making a criticism about black dudes who don't marry uh woman, and he talked about Nefertari, you know. Now you say it's funny, people don't couldn't give 2 cents, they couldn't give two damns about Kemet. But when they want to make their arguments, they want to use some examples from Kemet, and that's fine, they can do that. But basically, at some point, and it has happened many times, it's not new to me, but at some point people will talk about the fact that your skin has a particular complexion as if it invalidates you. And now, even my wife, my lady, and my daughter, you know, now you have plenty of brothers who are not with sisters. They'll kind of be quiet about them, but well, we have to wonder, do we need a standard and say, well, you should get with a woman who has that particular hue? If she's lighter than that hue that we decided on, then you don't have a say, you don't have a word, you know. But it's all good. People will try to find anything to talk about. But then again, if Malcolm X was still alive, what would those people say? Oh, but you're so light skinned, Malcolm. You can't speak for us. I don't know. But it's all good. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And even if a black man is not with a black woman, when it comes to history, it's information. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if some people feel like, okay, brothers should date sisters and so on, then that's more a school of thought or like a organization type of thing. You understand what I'm saying? But so far, people need to tell me which organization we should follow, which group of people that are like-minded, which groups of people that are like-minded that we should follow or look into. You understand what I'm saying? Because so far, oh, we have Inspired One. I didn't see that it was there. So let me put our good brother on. What's up,
Hey,
son?
how you doing? Hey,
I'm chilling, brother.
I know I'm jumping in the middle and I'm probably not getting the flow of what you're saying, but I think you're describing colorism and how they accuse black people of marrying white women or black women marrying white guys and the skin tone of their children. And I mean, that's a legacy of slavery. You know that, right?
We could say that, but to me, when that particular brother is a brother who used to call in, and you might have heard about him. I don't really want to say his name like that, but people know who I'm talking about. He comes every time with many different usernames, but he feels like he's indigenous to America, and he made a second show. It's like 4 hours long, and I only listened to a few minutes. I scrolled through the video, and at one point I heard him saying that, talking about, these brothers who talk the black. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but these brothers who talk the black talk, but the sisters that they're with, they're light skinned. They almost look like Europeans and so
Right.
on. And
Yeah.
and honestly, brother, brother Inspire One, it doesn't phase me. It doesn't even make me angry. It doesn't really disappoint me. It's just that I think the argument is not really valid, that or that it's lame. But I understand the guy is very frustrated. He's very angry at me because he used to be able to come on the platform there and talk, and he had that habit. But at one point, he was being kind of disrespectful. So I told him, I'm not going to let you be back on the channel. And ever since then, he's coming almost every live streams that I do. Now he might not be here now because it is just 1 p.m. In France. So in America, it's most likely the morning. So he might not be there, but I think he will be there every every time I do live streams, as I usually do on a weekend. And when it comes to the information, I feel like he's not equipped enough. So then he will resort to talk about things like that, and but really it doesn't phase me. It doesn't phase me at all.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think it's. Oh, I'm sorry. It's systemic of our culture. It's systematic. It's really. I mean, over and like I said, I don't know if you've ever spent any time over the United States, but it's a big issue within the Black community. It is colorism.
yeah. This is it's something that's there. It's an issue, and most of the time it is not really talked about. Most of the time it is not really talked about. But when you agree with them, they won't bring up your skin tone. When they disagree with you, that's when they will bring it up. You know,
That's
and that's the thing. See, now there's a thin line between love and hate. Some people say,
right.
but a while back I did tell people, you know what? If you feel like earlier I gave the analogy or the example about someone about the skin hue of the sisters that we should date, but even as ourselves particular, you know, to me, if some brothers want to and sisters want to get together and say, okay, we're gonna move as an organization, but we only want people of that particular shade. Your shade is too light to be down with us. Honestly, I won't be mad at them. I'm like, more power to you. But they will not even do that. So their argument, as if the skin is not dark enough, it doesn't really. It, it's not like it's not something they're willing to go for. It's something that would the complexion argument is something that they will bring when they disagree with you, when they have some dislike or disagreement with you, but they will not bring it up on a constant and regular basis, you see.
Well, it's. I guess what I'm saying, and I agree with you, is if you look at the rap videos over the United States, you'll notice that a lot of the rap videos pick women of a certain hue. And even now, it's going more towards Hispanic, Latina, Brazilian, people from Brazil. I'm talking about in American videos, in
Yes,
American
I
videos.
know. Yes.
And the Black women are starting to rebel and complain that the rap artists are not choosing Black women, American Black women, not French but they're complaining that American Black women are being overlooked in the rap videos for Hispanic and more exotic looking Colombian, Brazilian. So, Shaka, I mean, okay, next year it's going to be something different. It's never that, I think, goes deeper to self hate and people who are still dealing with the legacy. And I know it gets tired, but we got to keep bringing it up. A legacy of colorism that was born on the plantation. The house, the house slaves, which were normally the children of the slave master that were born by the slaves in the quarters. They didn't put them in the field. They brought them into the house. So that's that legacy. It really is. I mean, I don't know how it is over in France, but here in the United States, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's unspoken. It's unspoken. And not to get off into a rant, one thing I would like to ask you, is it possible? What did they call it when all of the continents were stuck together? Do you remember when everything was one big landmass and
I
then
think they call
over?
it Pangea.
Yes. Isn't that how different people maybe ended up in certain parts of the world, and they didn't get in boats, but maybe when there was all, so the reason why skin tones changed was to adapt to the environments in which they, like if you're in a snowy environment, you're in a cave versus in a tropical environment where you're in the sun. Isn't that how pigmentation evolved?
Well, I'm not really sure, but one thing that I want to state, even though I'm not a specialist of anthropology or geology, but I'm pretty confident that, and people will correct me if I'm wrong, it's all good if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty confident that at the time of Pangea, or the time where the continents were together, there were no human populations.
Okay.
Uh, it might be like very remote time, like the time of dinosaurs.
Okay.
So that's one thing, because that's one argument that some black people will feel like they are Native Americans. Sometimes they like to bring that up, like to say that now you need to take a boat and travel for like a couple of months to get to America, but back then it was not the same because the continents were in the same place. Now, when it comes to the skin complexion, the different shades, um, we could say yes, the climate plays a big part, but we have those people in South Africa who have light skin, but it's not a result of mixing with Caucasians or white people. So this needs to be taken into account as well. Now, however, okay, well, I will leave it there. I wanted to talk about the weather. Uh, like when it's I think, if I'm not mistaken, when it's summertime in most places in the world, or let's say in the West or in Europe or America, it's winter time in South Africa, vice versa. When it's winter time for us, it's summertime for them. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it's high, or maybe it has something to do with the altitude. I don't know, because Ethiopia, I think, is quite high, and I think that's one of the reasons why they are very good with marathon people from Ethiopia and Kenya, because they are used to having
The
less
altitude.
oxygen. Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe the altitude plays a part in the pigmentation. I don't know, because uh, we have those Caucasian people. They used to be in caves, and maybe they were in mountains. But I think for the most part, it's it might be due to the climate and the environment, but it's a very sensitive issue, because for white people to come with an explanation about how they appeared on this earth, because I think most people agree that life started in Africa. So how do we go from black to white? Then it's possible that the depigmentation might have been the result of albinism.
Oh, right. You
May-
mean like
ye-
albinos? Albinos.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's a very sensitive issue. I mean,
Yeah.
for a lot of white people to even assume that they will come, either whether it's albinism or albinos, or depigmentation, because less sun, less vitamin D, less melanin, it's touchy for them to even assume that they will come after black skinned people or
Right.
black Africans.
Right.
So yes, it's very touchy for them,
Well,
and
well,
and actually, as a matter of fact, they used to assume that they were first on the planet, and somehow, some way, we came. And I remember that teacher asked her. I was in primary school, and I asked, how did we come about what? How come we have that skin? And she mentioned that, in tropical weather there's more sun and so on. So in my mind, it's like, okay, so that's because we're in tropical weather and the sun, and that's how our skin turned dark. So it means that for some people, and maybe that's not what she was trying to express, because I was in primary school and I had
yeah.
my little understanding, but it's possible that for a fair bit of them, they feel like they were the first on the planet Earth and we came after. But I digress.
No, you're right. Well, the other thing is, race is a social construct.
I
It's
disagree,
it.
but I understand what you're saying.
No, no, no. Here's what I mean is, it's. And I'm gonna speak for all United States. What I mean by that is calling somebody black, somebody white, somebody Asian. I mean, the classifications was something that someone described socially. Like if they look at your face, they say you're black. If they look at your face, you're white. So they have to categorize based on a physical uh, a physical description. I just don't think, our hearts and lungs and everything else are all the same, but the covering is different. So anyone who looks a certain way is automatically categorized by some ranking system. That's a socialization thing. When they look at you, they say you're black, but they don't know. Maybe you could, both your parents could have been white. I don't know. And you can, I mean, maybe that's not possible, but I guess what I'm saying is the classifications, calling someone black, calling someone white, it's more based on physicality, not based on some uh, inherent difference in your personhood, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying because I've heard some. Well, it was a Moor, and I don't hear about him anymore. But he wasn't. See, the Moors that disagree with the fact that black people, well, let's say African Americans or Black Americans, because they don't accept them being African. So even African Americans, they will have an issue with that. So
Right.
they don't accept that Black Americans come from Africa. And one of his arguments was to say race is a social construct, but I kind of disagree because when we say race, I mean it depends. People might have different meaning for that, but really, race is what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Race is a concept that
Yes.
nowadays they are trying to erase. For centuries, race was there. It had a significance. It had a meaning. It mattered, and it went all the way to law, and it's even written in the human right. I don't know if I should say convention or constitution, but there's the issue of race, creed, and color. No matter what the race, creed of color, people should have liberties and be able to do this and do that. And so many rules, so many laws, so many articles. So
Right.
race was alive and kicking. In America at one point, black people 3/5 of a human being, and there's even the black code. And it's a time. I think it was the
Jim
time of
Crow. Jim Crow.
no, the black code is like uh I think it was a king, Louis the 14, was very very wealthy, and they the French royalty, they issued that code that was it's called black code or code noir in French, and it would give the rules about the black people, how they should be treated or what they represent in society. And really, this is available online. Everybody can go and type black code, and black people were like at the same level as furnitures, you see.
Mm.
So for so many centuries, race was something that everybody used to be down with, but now for whatever reason, a lot of people, and I hear sometimes when I drive, I listen to the radio, to the news, and people, when they mention race, they say, basically they want to get rid of the concept of race.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, it's up to them, but I feel like you cannot have centuries where race was alive and kicking and it mattered and all these things that happened to us, and all of a sudden they want to get rid of it. But now Sister RP has joined us. Hey, Hotel Sister, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, but do you have a like a speakerphone or something? Because there's some background noise. I'm thinking maybe you have a speakerphone. Oh, okay. we
It
don't we
stopped.
don't hear we don't hear
I
you
think
anymore now. We don't hear anything.
yeah, she probably had some background noise. That sounded like she was
Yes.
driving.
Yes, but I think that knows is because probably she has the speaker on. So if you hear us, sister, um, if there's a way, well, if you're driving, it's going to be difficult unless you have some earphones. But if by chance you have any earphones, then we will not hear all these noise. It's a bit like if someone calls a radio and he has the
Some
radio
background
on in his house, it will be like a
echo.
yeah, echo and funny nose. It's further. It's worse than just background noise. It's like
Here's something else.
Yes,
I'm gonna switch subjects real quick for you.
yes, of course. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of documentation on Mesopotamia,
Yes.
and I know that Kemet is older than Mesopotamia, but they're close in age, is what I'm deducing. Have you heard this before?
Well, um, a lot of time
Uh-oh, you
indeed
froze.
they have been trying to say that Mesopotamia, was on. Let me just tell my
Test.
lady I'm live streaming.
Hello. Hello.
Uh, 1 second, please. Yeah, we can hear you, sister. One moment, please, sister. Allô, ça va? Tu sais, je suis en train de faire un live là, en fait. Ouais. Allô? Ouais, je suis en train de faire un live. Je te rappelle? Ok, ok. Yeah, I have to tell my lady that I'm live streaming, so she's not thinking I'm creeping. And she will verify
Hmm.
anyway. She will verify. She will go and
So
check
you
and make
got
sure that I'm live.
documentation. You got a live
Yeah,
stream. You got it
yeah.
documented.
I have something to cover my behind.
That's right. That's right.
And
Don't
yes,
tell.
Sister RP. Yes, please feel free to speak.
Yeah. No, this is good documentation because I had written in the chat that I was on a devotional for my aunt. And didn't want to get up, but I did it, and then I was feeling good, and then you were live, and that was so great. But yeah, so I'm here to test that you're on a live. Yeah. I was listening to what y'all are talking about. As far as so-called white people, I like to I try to call them Euro Americans over here. Um, and been learning from a vegan chef about food and what food will do to the body. So when we talk about sickly people who are native, we're talking about people who spent
Hmm.
probably close to, I don't know, maybe a thousand years in darkness.
Okay, okay.
I
Hold on,
haven't
hold on.
read it.
Sister RP, just one moment. I want to check if it's on my end or not. Brother Inspire One, when the sister speak, do you hear the doubling? Yes. Well, you know what, Sister RP, when you speak, for strange reason,
Oh,
and you will catch that when you will listen. Um, I don't know how to explain that, but like when you start saying every like 3 seconds or so, 3 or 4 seconds, the words the sentence that you start, it's like, okay, I'll make the example. I say, today I'm going to talk to you, brothers and sisters, about this issue that we are dealing with, and it keeps doing that, and there's a bit of
oh my
pause as
God.
well. Yeah, you see, it went, oh my God. And but I don't know. Just try to speak and let's see if there's a. Okay, she left, but
But
uh,
can you
okay.
talk about Mesopotamia real quick? Because everything
Yes,
I've
yes,
read, and it's very
yes.
it's very credible. It's almost like they're saying Mesopotamia is the first civilized documented, you know, group of people on the planet. And they sound like they're credible.
Well, what I can say about this is that they have been trying to push Mesopotamia or Sumeria. Well, let's say Mesopotamia. Um, being and when I say Mesopotamia, I mean, Mesopotamia,
Iran, it's Iran and Iraq, right?
Sumer, yes,
Is
this area, uh, and they have been trying to push it as being older than Kemet for a long time. Eventually, the documentation, I feel like the documentation kind of gave them a reality check. So now they're kind of trying to say, oh, it comes about the same time. You see, but
gotcha.
you see, for Europeans to try to push it as back as possible, it makes sense because they know very well that those are white skin, white, and I can say Caucasian. Some people might disagree and say, oh, back in the day, there wasn't any such thing as a Caucasus Mountain and so on. But by Caucasian, I mean black. I'm sorry, I mean white. My
Yeah,
apologies. But for black people to do that, those are like the Hebrew Israelites or like
right.
black Christians, black Muslims, because they feel like the Semites were black. But once again, people don't have to take my word for it. People can look at the standard of ore, which is about 2600, 2500 BC, and we can see the phenotype of those people. But let me just say something real quick. Thank you very much, Sister Alex Little. She just gave a $10 donation. I appreciate that, sister. I mean, a single mother with two children, who's doing her thing, music, released a book. She also has some gear, some clothing that she's selling on the website, berealwhileyouheal.com. And it really goes to my heart, because it's not easy. It's not easy. So thank you for that. And we also have Big T, 1414. And RP, no problem at all, no problem at all. And we have also Victory, the Great, and Billy Boy. Greetings to you all, brothers and sisters. Um, but brother Inspire One, I did go on a museum trip. I could only go so far, but I want to do it again and show more artifacts of those Sumerians. But I feel I'm very confident that at some point it will stop. You see, there's a guy called Asaim Hotep,
Okay.
and in the past I've been I don't want to say that I've been harsh, but he went at me. He hollered at Wesley Muhammad, mentioning me as if I don't have any credibility, and I didn't really like that at all. But the main disagreement that we had from the first from the first time we spoke is that he used to say that there were Hebrews in Kemet. And when I asked him were the Hebrews black, he said yes. Now that was like 2000 what 2011, I think. And I wrote an article. He said he will write something. He didn't. So he has a right to change his mind. But that goes to like scholarly work and so on. I did make an article. I'm not saying it was the greatest article in the world, but I went and stated my piece. Now, I don't know, a few months back, he has actually said, and he made a demonstration. He made it was a live stream. I think it was on another channel that I don't really want to mention. I don't want to give them too much clout. But basically, that same guy, Asaim Hotep, he changed his views because of the evidence. I'm not saying it's because of me. I'm not saying that it's because of what I told him, but
Mm-hmm.
he showed artifacts, or let's say depictions of Asiatics, of Canaanites or Hapiru. Back then, I remember that he was saying that the Hebrews, and I was asking him, where are the Hebrews in history? And he said, we have the Haparu. Now, Americans would say Haparu, but I guess we should say Hapiru, but it's not a big deal. The letter I, it will be pronounced like with the E sound in the I'm sorry, in the middle nature. So some people, because there's the linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastics, when they see a word like the ECDR, for example, in the Meripata Stella, they feel like ECDR is actually Israel. Now, it is not, but hey. So it's the same thing with Haparu or Hapiru. They used to feel, oh, Hapiru, that sounds close to Hebrew, you know? And that's why I was telling the brothers and sisters that at the end of the day, what we call Hebrew, uh, in the Hebrew language, I don't even think it's a B, it's like Ivri. But anyway, he showed, and I think he even showed Hapiru. And he said at one point, those are what you will call today white folks, you see? So also, well, okay, I think the channel where he showed that is Dagger Squad. Uh, and that same Dagger Squad channel, not long ago, there's a brother, I forgot his name. I don't know him. But basically, if people go on that channel and scroll through the videos, it was not long ago. And that guy talked about were the Sumerians black, you see? And he's showing depictions, and his conclusion is that no, they were not black. So back in 2011, I was kind of, and it's not to toot my own horn. Maybe there were other people, but I was kind of like the only one saying, look, those Semites, those Canaanites, those Arabs, they were not black. They were white, you see? And I caught a lot of fire, a lot of heat. But now over time, there's more and more people who are kind of looking for the artifacts and the depictions and making the same conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, however, Asaim Hotep is of the opinion that they were still black, those particular people, and he's making a linguistic arguments. But with that meaning any disrespect. I don't think that Simhotep is a linguist, though he presents himself as such. And he's using a book by someone who wrote, I forgot the title of the book, but some white guy. And some people even said that they're not. I don't even know if it's established that this author of that book is actually a linguist himself. So I was a bit long-winded. I'm sorry, but
No, no.
um, for Europeans, it's very significant to claim that Sumeria comes before as a civilization and so on. But really, I, I will actually look for the quotes by James P. Allen and see what he has to say about the Meta Nature as a language.
Hey,
And so feel free to add on, brother.
when you say the metadata, and I know it's the way to interpret the writings back in Kemet on the walls, correct?
Yes, what when I say Medu Nature, that's basically hieroglyphic.
Yes.
That's
And
basically hieroglyphic because
it,
Medu Nature is just the name in the ancient Egyptian language. That's how they used to call it.
have you heard any discussion on people who can read the metadata all may not agree on what the symbols represent? And what I mean that is, someone said when you look at the symbols, they're not supposed to be a language as much as it is a pictorial representation that people will try to conclude is telling a message, right?
Um,
Like
I'm not really sure.
okay, you're not reading A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P. You're not looking at somebody spelling through pictorial representations. They're not trying to tell you, they're trying to describe something, but you and I could look at both images and you could say he's saying the sun rises in the east and the cattle are grazing in the grass. I look at it and say, no, I think he's saying there's a lamb eating some porridge and he's going to
Mm.
bear more baby lambs. And so they're saying, isn't that the trouble
Okay,
with?
I I I I I understand you. Thank you for clarifying for me. It was breaking up a bit when you were talking, but maybe it was on my end. Now, I'm very glad you asked this question because you see, um, a lot of things are being said about the Medu Network, but one thing that I want to emphasize, and I am not a linguist, I'm not a PhD, I am not a professor, but I've been studying it for a few years, so I feel like I can speak on that. And if people want to say that I'm wrong, then feel free. But I encourage everybody to contact a specialist, a PhD or an Egyptologist, and ask them the question yourself. So you see, it will not come from me. Those glyphs, they have phonetic values. You see, and the Rosetta Stone is one of the greatest example. And remember, before the Rosetta Stone, there was some other text where we had the Medu Neter and the Greek. So those glyphs definitely have phonetic values. Some are used as determinative or ideogram, so it will give us an idea about the meaning of something, like if it's a place or if it's an action or if it's like some sort of a body part or some part of the vegetation, fauna and flora, but they still have phonetic values.
Okay.
Those glyphs, they do have phonetic. Yes,
Okay. I didn't know that because Brother Jabari's wife, I think do you know Jabari? His wife is a specialist.
of course, of course. I don't know them personally, but I know who they are. I've heard them.
And
Yes.
I've heard her say that she can interpret it. I mean, she's a specialist in it. And then I heard someone say, even among specialists, they could both look at the same glyph and walk away with two different interpretations that might be material enough where one will take you to the right and the other could take you to the left, just based on maybe you seeing the glyph and you interpret it one way, and I see the glyph and and I interpret another way, and it could really take us down two separate paths. Have you heard that before?
Well, I kind of hear that every now and then, but honestly, I think those are minor issues. For example, the sister, Universal Travel, she's a fluent Arabic speaker, and I asked her about the term asmar. Asmar is Arabic, and most of the time people translate that as brown. She said it means dark. Now, brown and dark, those are not the same words. They are not necessarily exactly synonyms. Oh, can you hear me, brother?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, they are not necessarily synonyms, but the meaning is kind of the same. And really, if some people take the Quran and they look for English translations, depending on whoever made the translation, you will see that some words will not be exactly the same.
Mm.
That is because if in French I say, I don't know if I say, um, um, mm, I don't know if I say, okay, manteau is like you can translate that as jacket or coat. You know, you have many different words in English, and we need to pay attention to the fact that back in the days they didn't necessarily have so many words to describe one thing. You see,
Hmm.
so you can say jacket, you can say coat, but it kind of means the same thing. So it's possible that when people will translate the Made in Nature, one person will use a particular word or use another word, but that doesn't change the meaning or that doesn't change it much. You see,
Okay.
Made in Nature is definitely, yes, Made in Nature is definitely a language that can be read, that can be translated. It has a very precise grammar, and people will be amazed and surprised. The sad thing is that we have three people who kind of have a large audience, and I'm talking about amongst the black community. And those three people feel like it hasn't been deciphered, and they said that. And those three people are
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, it wasn't my end. The connection kind of.
Oh, no problem. You were getting ready to say that the three people are, and
Yes,
then you cut
two
off.
people like the first one that I heard saying that it's Walter Williams, who wrote the historical origin of Christianity and the historical origin of of Islam. So in his book, the historical origin of Christianity, over 2 pages, Walter Williams argued that it hasn't been deciphered. And I'm paraphrasing, but basically, he's kind of saying we were not there at the time when they came up with those symbols, so we don't know what they mean. And there it is. And after that, uh, I don't know if I first heard Young Pharaoh and then Sarasuddin Seti or vice versa, but those two brothers, they've been saying that it hasn't been deciphered. They were supposed to have a debate about that, and the day before or the same day, they backed down of the debate because of disputes about the contract, and it was Saneter who had organized that. But for those who don't know, there is a book called Has the Middle Nature Been Deciphered? A Rebuttal to Walter Williams. That book is available on Amazon, because for a long time people would have been acting like, okay, Walter Williams, he laid the game down and he demonstrated and whatever, even though it's only over 2 pages on a book about Christianity that he gave his opinion about why it has not been deciphered. And that's back in 1992. You see?
Mm.
um because a lot of our people like to follow people blindly, they just roll with it. But I respectfully disagree with Walter Williams, with Young Pharaoh, and with Sarah Sutton Seti on that issue of the meta nature not being deciphered. And I want to tell brothers and sisters that we have some brothers on the motherland, on the continent, who also have earned their PhDs, who are linguists. We have even Dr. Combon. he he is an African. Well, he's an African American. He African American. He's born in America, and he decided to move to the motherland, to Africa. So he lives in Ghana. He earned his PhD. He is a linguist, and he also knows the Medu nature. He speaks on that, you see. So we, because a lot of people like to say, oh, these Europeans, they don't know what they're talking about and so on. But we have many black scholars, PhDs, who deal with the Medu nature. And for anyone to fear or to think that scholars all around the world who studied for many years and earned a doctorate degree that they don't know what they're talking about is kind of very, very unfair. It's very, very unfair. And I would say this: Walter Williams, a lot of people say Dr. Walter Williams, does he have a PhD? Where did he get his PhD from? You see? And this is a problem with us. We in a so-called conscious community, we try to invalidate people who actually earn their PhDs either because they are not black or for other reasons. But the people who don't have PhDs, we give them that title and we take what they say as being something so accurate. But I would say this. I only have a few minutes left, so brother Inspire One, feel free to make your closing remarks.
No, just I always appreciate the knowledge that I pick up. I'm still learning. By no means am I a even halfway conscious enough to decipher a lot of this. But the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, believe it or not. So I just appreciate the exchange of knowledge.
But brother, I want to say this: to be able to know the Medu nature or any language at all, it's not an issue of being conscious. Consciousness is to me is different than knowledge. You see, so indeed we have some white people, Caucasian. We have some Arabs. I don't know any Indian ones, but I'm pretty sure we have some Indian Egyptologists. Egyptology is a field that is like in so many places in the world, and we have some black Egyptologists as well, or PhDs or linguists. But it's just an issue of knowledge. So I can study the Chinese language. I don't need to have their school, their philosophy, or the mindset of a Chinese person. I don't need to have the belief of a Chinese person. I can still know their language, and it's the same for the Medu nature. It's the same, and it's a shame, really, because the Medu nature was there before all those languages that we know. It was there before Arabic. It was there before Hebrew. It was there before Aramaic. It was there before. I mean, I could name it, But so many of us, we don't see the Medu nature with the significance that it has over some doubts that were put in the community, and it's a shame, but I mean, that's life. At the end of the day, that's life. But brothers and sisters, I do live stream on a regular basis. If you want Walter Williams to come in, he can come. If you want Sarah Citisetti and Young Pharaoh to come in to talk about the issue of the Medu nature, and I'm ready to have this discussion, really. But I doubt they would do it. I don't think they would do it.
Do you think Saneter,
and yeah.
would Saneter ever invite you on his show?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know if I will go. I really don't know. And it's too little time for me to explain why. But I, I I don't need to go there. Basically, I don't. It would be helpful because he has a very large platform. He has, like I said many times, I think he has over 1 million subscribers. Who knows? He might have like 2 million subscribers, but he has that plaque that shows that he has reached at least 1 million subscribers. So it will be it will be helpful in a way in terms of reaching a larger audience. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Who knows if he makes the invitation? Maybe I'll go, but I'm not sure if I would go. But um,
I think you should. The reason I say that is you gotta get in the octagon. Do you know what the octagon is?
oh, I've been practicing martial arts. I did fights. I did competition. I won a few titles, so I'm very familiar with the octagon.
So you gotta get in there with him. You know
But,
you
but
do.
I think if maybe somebody like maybe Zion Lex or the people who claim to know the Meta Nature, if he would challenge me, for example, because I address him respectfully. I address him about something he said. If he will challenge me, then maybe I will go. But if it's just to go there and talk, I mean, I can do that on my channel, on my platform.
No, it sounds like a Zion X and a Shaka debate on Saneter.
Yes, maybe. But at the end of the day, we can cut the little man. If Zynex really wants to have a discussion with me, then he can come on my channel directly. You see, um,
but Saneter would give you a bigger platform.
Yes, but then he won't invite people who teach that they are celebrating the death of Africans, and I'm a bit uncomfortable with that. You see.
But you know how the octagon works, Shaka. I mean, it gets nasty.
I know, but at the end of the day, as long as I teach and it's good, it's good enough, and then we'll see later on. We'll see later on.
All right.
Now, thank you very much, brother.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Okay, Hotep. Now you see, before I leave, now you see, RP wrote Hotep Senu Hena Senut. There's a few brothers and sisters who come there when I'm live streaming, and they're taking the Meta classes. So this is greetings, brothers and sisters. That's the language. Now, Tomorrow's Beauty wrote, "Hi, how are you? I was wondering if you can help me. I'm new to Kemetic spirituality and trying to learn more about Egypt in general. Can you help me?" Well, I'm leaving the email address, but I'm giving Medu Nature classes. Now, when it comes to spirituality, in a sense, it can be subjective. But if people want to know the language, which will help them to understand more, the culture more, then they can feel free. BOSSSTYLYX at, I'm sorry, MSN.com. So that's BOSSS for Sierra or for Sandra, BOSSSTYLYX at MSN.com. And I might as well just show the flyer. Where is it? There it is. So that's the flyer there, you see. So $10 for 1 hour. If you're in Europe, make it 10 euros. And all you need is an internet connection. You can use your smartphone, you can use your PC, or you can use your tablet, and we can go through the language and learn together. But spirituality, once again, I don't discourage anybody from dealing with the spirituality, but it can be very subjective. But the language itself, that's the language, just like English, French, and Arabic as well, you see. So I would say Wada'an, Ma'asalama, Nakwe plus tard, frère non, sem non, nous là, moi espère tout le monde bon. À bientôt, à plus tard, portez-vous bien. And finally, stay safe, stay healthy. And if I'm allowed to by the Necheru, then I will definitely holler back at you. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you know when I'm live streaming. Stay safe, brothers and sisters. Stay safe and stay healthy. Hotep.